Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us from all around the world. My name is Sophie Morgan. I'm a television presenter and a disability advocate from the UK, and it is my absolute pleasure and privilege to be hosting you today through this winner's announcement of the Toyota Mobility Foundation's Mobility Unlimited Challenge. Throughout the challenge, I have been a member of the judging panel which selected the 5 finalists that you'll meet today, as well as the ultimate winner that we're going to be announcing in a few minutes. Around the world, millions of people are living with lower limb paralysis, and the most common causes are strokes, spinal cord injury, and multiple sclerosis. And while there are no firm statistics on paralysis worldwide, the Global Health Organization estimates that there are approximately 250,000 to 500,000 new cases of spinal cord injury globally every year. And while it might be hard to believe, the primary mobility device to help people with paralysis, the wheelchair, has not been reinvented for over 100 years or more. So, to tackle this issue and encourage innovation for people with paralysis, the Mobility Unlimited Challenge was launched. It's been a 3-year-long, $4 million challenge to source assistive mobility devices that leverage the power of smart technology and intelligent systems. It was launched in November of 2017, and during the entry period, we received entries from 80 teams across 29 countries. 10 $50,000 discovery awards were provided to 10 promising concepts to fund the completion of their submission to the challenge. And then in January 2019, 5 finalists were announced, and they received $500,000 each to continue developing their ideas, along with mentoring and guidance from subject matter experts over the last year and a half. And finally, we are excited to share the winner of the $1 million prize today. But first, I'd like to hand over to Ryan Clem to introduce the Toyota Mobility Foundation and the partners working on this challenge. Ryan.
Thank you, Sophie. We are excited about today, and along with our partners and finalist teams, have been working very hard to get here. As a director at the Toyota Mobility Foundation, or TMF, please allow me a few minutes to provide you a brief background of TMF, as well as introduce our partners. Since 2014, our Japan-based Toyota Mobility Foundation has worked to bring mobility to all on a global scale. Primarily, we have been tackling projects that focus on a holistic view of mobility systems and mobility as it pertains to often underserved populations. For this Mobility Unlimited Challenge, we have been working closely with the London-based Nested Challenges to help us implement and carry out this important initiative. They are experts in designing and running challenge prizes around the globe. We'd like to thank them for their wisdom and impeccable organization in keeping the challenge running, moving across the years, and especially during the pandemic. Next, we also have to thank our partners at the Human Engineering Robotics Laboratories out of the University of Pittsburgh, under the leadership of Dr. Roy Cooper. They have been indispensable as experts in designing and testing assistive technology and are responsible for guiding the assessment process of the challenge submissions, developing the judging task for each individual team, and mentoring the finalists throughout their journey. Finally, there are countless other individuals, many who are members of the disability community themselves, that have helped support and spread the word about the challenge. Independent of who is awarded the $1 million today, we want to congratulate all of the finalists and are excited to find unique opportunities to continue supporting them in meaningful ways.
Thank you, Ryan. Now, we'd like to introduce you to each of our 5 finalists. Here is a quick video that highlights the pioneering smart technologies that have been incorporated into their devices, and you can hear from the teams themselves how these innovations will impact the lives of the end users.
Hi, my name is Pierluigi Montavani from Evolution Devices. We have created the EvoWalk. The EvoWalk is a wearable nerve stimulator that goes right below the knee and uses artificial intelligence. Our device helps people with partial lower limb paralysis pick up their foot at the right time. helping them walk more and trip less, while potentially helping rehabilitate their muscles over time. Our AI provides accurate stimulation timing for all types of walking, and it extracts detailed walking information that the users and their physical therapists can use to track progress over time. We created the EvoWalk because we saw that there was a strong need to build innovative technology that was accessible to as many people as possible and was very effective. When people have a walking impairment, they tend to walk less and less until eventually they stop walking altogether. But with the EvoWalk, people regained confidence. They were able to walk more and lift their foot without that fear of falling. And they started doing things that they once enjoyed, but they had stopped doing before. We believe that the EvoWalk is only the beginning, and we hope to create a platform in which we can help rehabilitate all types of movements. Cheers to the future of mobility.
My name is Andrew Slorence. I'm the founder and CEO of Phoenix Instinct. We've created the Phoenix Eye, the first ever intelligent, ultralight manual wheelchair. The USP of the Phoenix Eye is that it has intelligent center of gravity, so it can distribute the user's weight in a way that prevents the chair tipping over backwards, whilst also keeping it very easy to push and turn. For the first time ever, the wheelchair is interactive with the user. The power assist system will give intelligent uphill power assist and intelligent downhill braking. The design of the chair is very cutting edge and modern. The Phoenix Eye is future-proof, so the user can add more and more smart components to it as they become available. I see a time in the future when all wheelchairs have embraced smart technology, when wheelchairs are networked, sharing information on road surface and accessible routes. And that will happen because we have created a step change away from the mechanical and into digital wheelchairs.
My name is Kenji Suzuki from the Team Koro. We are based at the University of Tsukuba. Our entry to the challenge is the Koro 3.0. Koro 3.0's unique selling point is a very natural and smooth postural changes, and also a mobility function while both of standing and sitting. Our device provides a standing mobility device in daily living for people who are forced to be seated, and it gives a choice of standing and sitting whenever they want. It will give more independence to people and increase working population, and also provides a long-lasting health and vitality benefits. We hope to realize a future society where independent individuals will be empowered with the aid of technology.
My name is Matthew Bellman. I am the co-founder and chief technology officer of Myelin. We partnered with the Florida Institute for Human and Machine Cognition, that's IHMC, to develop Quix. Quix is a robotic exoskeleton designed to help people with lower limb paralysis walk and access more of the places that are currently inaccessible to them. It has 8 powered degrees of freedom. That means that it has 8 electric motors in the hips, knees, and ankles, and most exoskeletons today only have 4. Having these extra power degrees of freedom significantly increases the number of different activities and different movements that a user with lower limb paralysis could perform with the exoskeleton. Quix is a device that will change the lives of people with lower limb paralysis by helping them to go more places and do more of the things they would be doing if they had more mobility.
My name is Stefano Niero from Ital Design. Our entry to the challenge is Wimi, a wheel-on semi-autonomous electric device that provides ride-sharing for wheelchair users. Our device was designed for micromobility and is able to drive on any kind of ground to overcome small obstacles and to avoid collisions thanks to sensors. This way, it relieves a wheelchair user from excessive effort, allowing him to access and fully enjoy urban areas. The initial source of inspiration for Wimi was the concept of inclusion. Innovative mobility systems are usually technology-driven. Conversely, with WIMI, we wanted to start from the end user, including a mobility-restricted category that is far too often excluded. With an easy and cheap solutions, wheelchair users will finally be able to concentrate on what's really important: pleasure of moving, social relations, and feeling of inclusion.
It's so exciting to think that people with lower limb paralysis are going to have such an array of choice over different devices in the future, because that's what this challenge has enabled. It's freedom to create, the freedom to choose, the freedom to move. And at this point, I'd like to share a discussion that I had with two individuals very invested in this area of assistive technology. So Philip Craven, who is the former president of the International Paralympic Committee, former wheelchair basketball athlete, and current member of the Toyota Motor Corporation's board of directors, and Dr. Gill Pratt, who is the CEO of Toyota Research Institute, where he directs research into to create new capabilities for Toyota in active safety, automated driving, robotics, and other human amplification technologies. Mobility is a fundamental part of being independent. When we are free to move, we are able to fully participate in society, and anything is possible. Yet the world in which we live is not fully inclusive to millions of people who live with lower limb paralysis and mobility impairment. Because of inaccessible environments and inadequate technology, we face multiple barriers to mobility. The Mobility Unlimited Challenge supports radical improvements in the mobility and independence of people with lower limb paralysis through smarter assistive technologies. And mobility devices can be life-changing, but the pace of innovation is frustratingly slow. And the Mobility Unlimited Challenge aims to change that. With me today, I have two esteemed individuals who are uniquely positioned to speak to mobility devices, and I'm delighted to lead us in a discussion today. So firstly, could you please introduce yourselves and tell us about what you do?
I'm Sir Philip Craven, used to be called Phil when I was a wheelchair basketball player, played nearly 200 times for Great Britain. In 2001, I parachuted into the International Paralympic Committee as its president. In 2017, I was invited, to my great surprise, by the president of Toyota, Akio Toyoda, to be a member of the board of Toyota in Japan.
Hi there, I'm Gill Pratt. I'm the chief scientist for Toyota Motor Corporation and also the CEO of Toyota Research Institute.
It's a privilege to speak to you both, two perfectly positioned people to talk about this fascinating subject about mobility. It's a word that we'll be using a lot. It's the Mobility Unlimited Challenge, after all. So I want to start with quite a broad question to you both. I'll come to you first, Sir Philip. What does mobility mean to you?
Very simply, it means freedom. It means liberation from possibly being imprisoned in some way in life, which would be a terrible thing to have to feel. And so if I can't be mobile, and I can't be very quickly mobile, I like moving fast, I don't like moving slow. It's about liberation, it's about freedom, and it's about if you are free. And I love the words that you said, which I think are Toyota words. When we are free to move, we are able to fully participate in society, and everything is possible.
I think a lot about autonomy. One of the topics that we work on at the Toyota Research Institute is automated cars. And most people think about those as a robotic taxi, a car that's going to drive by itself. But I always think that it's actually not about the autonomy of our vehicles. It's actually about the autonomy of people. That people feel wonderful when they are independent, when they can go where they want to go without having to take the time or rely on someone else or feel somehow that they're a burden to some other person. And this is true for people with disabilities. It is true for people that are getting on in years as well. And so a lot of the work that we're doing is basically to build machines that are as simple as possible, that effectively amplify people's abilities to be as autonomous and independent as possible.
I love that answer. I think that's so important, isn't it? It's not feeling like a burden. It's feeling that you can participate. Exactly. I mean, so back to you, Sir Philip. From your perspective, as obviously a board member for Toyota, what are your thoughts around Toyota's commitment to this? You explained earlier that you kind of parachuted in and then you've grasped with both hands this opportunity. Why do you think this challenge was so necessary, and what do you think about Toyota's commitment to it?
Well, I think on mobility, Toyota at the moment is going through a transformation that probably, as our president has said, only happens once every 100 years. So we're moving from being a motor manufacturer, one of the biggest in the world, to be a mobility company. So mobility is at the center of everything we do. Toyota truly believes that whatever they produce, whatever they can influence, is for the good of society, to be more mobile and therefore more free.
Help everybody. Gill, do you want to jump into that? I can see you nodding enthusiastically.
Yes. So I think one of the more recent things that the president has said to us, and that all of us have found really just amazing to take to heart, is this idea that we're shifting from a mass producer of cars to this really just amazing idea of a mass producer of happiness. If you have the correctly designed machine working in synergy with a person, and the design is really, really good, and people have truly thought about it from a human-centric point of view, what does the person need to complement them, to be synergistic with them, that as a result, their lives can be much more happy than they were before. And, that's really what our big goal is.
Is that core to what you're doing then, is putting the end user at the heart of your thinking?
Yes, that is exactly right. It's not about the technology. It's about human beings. It's about the user, the person that we're trying to help. And so I think one of the themes that's very, very strong in this particular activity that we're a part of here is this human-centered design point of view, where we're always looking at what does the person actually need.
It's a wonderful part of the challenge was knowing that had been factored into one of the judging criteria, is how much are you co-creating, how much are you using the end user in your process. I mean, as a wheelchair user myself, I know, I've lived firsthand that transformation that your life has when you get the right assistive device, when you get that right wheelchair, or dare I say exoskeleton, which I've had the privilege of experiencing. So Philip, as a wheelchair user yourself, would you mind trying to articulate how transformative your wheelchair is, the assistive devices in general, and perhaps as well how they've changed in your lifetime?
And this was back in the 60s. Wheelchair basketball was played in very similar chairs that you'd find in a hospital, and they didn't really move at all. And then Hank McKenzie came up with the cambering system, which was amazing. That made you turn on a sixpence. And that was just transformational. I got that at some sort of mocked up device, which fell to bits at half time in the first match I played it with it. But I was I must have been about 30 at the time, or no, I was 35 at the time, maybe, 30. And it was like being given a massive Christmas present. It did what I wanted it to do, rather than me having to thrutch around. That's a northern term, but thrutch around in my chair. And so that was a fantastic thing.
Because there's also the added health benefits of these things as well. There's so much more. I mean, I don't think that there's a way to articulate just how much my life has grown over the 18 years that I've had a spinal injury because of the invent of things like this. But I do notice as well the privilege that we have to be able to have access to wheelchairs that we're talking about, to the latest materials and the latest innovation, and so it's such a wonderful, exciting thing to think that the happiness for all, happiness for everybody is so all-encompassing. So how do you see devices that we're talking about, like the ones that we've seen in the challenge, the finalists that we've seen, how do you see them incorporating into the cities of the future?
I think that it's kind of a partnership that has to happen between three parties. One is, of course, the person that's using the device. The other is the device itself. And the other is the infrastructure that's in the city to make the operation that the person and the device are using together work well. The simplest example that we can think of now is wheelchair ramps, right? So ramps, of course, help with some of that stuff. But actually, as wheelchairs are developing, the balance is shifting where the wheelchair is becoming more mobile and more capable of getting over the kind of terrain where actually you don't need the ramps quite as much as you did before. There's also all kinds of neat ideas about the social effects of these devices. I'm sure that both of you know that, when you're in a wheelchair, your point of view, your eyes are lower than where they otherwise would be if you were to stand up. So now we're starting to see all kinds of different wheelchairs and other devices to help raise your point of view. So you look people in the eye. So that's really awesome. And the third part, and I'm sort of playing off of what Sir Philip had talked about before, I think it's very important that these devices be as simple as possible also, and that we not forget that the person who's using them uses them most hours of every day for days and days and days and days. And most machines that we use aren't like that. Even cars are typically used only around 5% of the time, and then 95% of the time they're actually parked. And so when you're building an assistive device, the engineering standards, the level of skill that you need to design them well has to be very, very high. And so I think that challenges like this are fantastic because they push us on all three of those axes.
So talking of the challenge, I'm going to ask you both, what were the things that you found the most exciting or encouraging about the 5 finalists that we had?
Well, one thing that I really always look to is, how do these devices look? Do I feel good in them when I'm using them, or does it make me really feel like one of the D fraternity, and so that's very important. And I'm looking at them now, these devices, you'll feel good when you're using them. You'll look good, it'll raise your self-esteem, and so that's the key thing for me. It's not just, sometimes engineers will look to an engineering solution which does the job, but you don't feel good in them, even if they work properly. So that's also important. And I think when we look at what's on offer here at the 5 finalists, then you would feel good using those devices. And I think that's very important as well.
Do you think that's because of the co-creation, because people are consulting with the end user?
Well, it's absolutely the case. And when it always used to be a chromium tube, that was used, and now you can get them in all sorts of colors. You can have different colored spokes in your wheels. You can do whatever you want, basically. And why not?
I think that every single one of them actually hit it out of the park on building a device that was useful, that could actually give a true augmentation to the lives of the people that were to use them. They were each different in their own way. And so it actually, as I looked at them, the feeling that I had was just like, wow, these guys really got it. And I think that co-creation idea was responsible for that. It was clear that this was not just a bunch of technical folks coming up with things, dreaming out on their own of what they believed a disabled person would want.
The entrepreneurialism that we've seen demonstrated in not just the 5 finalists, in all the entrants that have come through was so inspiring. What are your thoughts on kind of the entrepreneurialism and the inspiration that might set to other people who might be thinking of ways in which they could bring value and bring sort of innovation into this space?
To find people, as we have found here with the 5 finalists, that have got good products, but their enthusiasm, their passion for what they're doing, this is so key, to their futures and for them to expand into being a going concern. So it's wonderful that this is happening. It's something that Toyota fully backs.
When you meet a true entrepreneur, you will hear stories of failure, 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 and then finally success. So I think the entrepreneurial spirit is exceptionally important. And I think it's through the courage of these groups that are willing to fail, but when they succeed, boy, that's just amazing, that we actually can make the breakthroughs that we need to make.
Well, Sir Philip and Dr. Gill, thank you both so much for your time. I know we are all itching to know who the winner is, so thank you. It's time to go. So we are nearing the point that we have all been waiting for. But before we make the ultimate winner announcement, let's just take a look back at the team's journeys through the entire Mobility Unlimited challenge to see just how far they've all come.
I remember lying in my bed and the occupational therapist coming in. And she said, "Andrew, I've got your new wheelchair for you." And it was this gigantic metal chrome thing. The day I went out in public in that wheelchair for the first time was, by miles, the worst day of my life. I felt completely stripped of me. That thing owned me. It was now my identifiable feature.
Mobility is something that you take for granted on the day-to-day. It's not just about hopping in the bus or hopping in your car, it's about walking from here to the kitchen.
Mobility is changing. The focus is pushing towards inclusion.
Mobility is a human right, and we want to guarantee this human right to everybody.
We need to think about why people need mobility. For a job, meeting friends. Mobility is fundamental. Technology can help that purpose.
It's about doing something that other people haven't or won't do. I want that first perception anyone has of me and anyone that uses the device that I designed to go, cool.
We're at the Skydeck Accelerator in Berkeley, California. The name of our device is the EvoWalk device. It helps people with walking problems, specifically from neurological walking impairments. It times where they are in their walking cycle and activates their muscles to kind of help them rehabilitate and regain some ability to walk.
We are in the IHMC lab in Pensacola, Florida. We are building the Quix exoskeleton.
That is amazing. Team Quix is about making the world accessible to people who use wheelchairs and the immobility that comes with that.
We're basically building a robot from scratch.
Ital Design is an engineering service provider for automotive markets. And we want to become designers of mobility solutions. How can I guarantee that you can fulfill your mission moving from A to B in the efficient way without having so much stress?
Our team name is QOLO, which is the quality of life is locomotion. We are going to realize the standing mobility device.
If you start looking at every bit of the wheelchair, you realise that there's a lot of it that's not very good. What the wheelchair user wants is a viable, practical, lightweight, compact, portable, easy-to-use, safe, affordable thing. I think the best products are developed by the people that use them. I've used a wheelchair for a long time. I'm probably a good person to do it.
How can we condense all of this complexity into something that looks really easy to use? The device is going to read where you are when you're walking. Since it's canceling out those spasms, you're going to be able to retrain and remember how to walk without the stimulation. How's it feel?
Much better. Timing is actually quite good.
Nice.
This is a major relief. No hands.
Our whole team knows that this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we know that this can have a huge impact on the world.
It's not going to be an autonomous robot. You don't say, I want to walk over there and just let it walk you. We treat the device that the user wears as a custom-fit device.
The first time I saw the Exo, I was hesitant to believe that it was actually going to make me walk. Looks can be deceiving. They said it was going to work, so I just kind of trusted that we were going to make this happen.
Our concept is very ambitious.
it must be something that works for the widest audience of users. Each user has a different problem or a different wish, and trying to accommodate all these wishes into one device is not easy at all.
Our final goal is to be able to provide a mobility solution for each single person, independently by the abilities.
We naturally think that wheelchair people are seated, and we do not ask them, do you want to stand up? I think from the heart, people wanted to do the same thing as others do. Standing is fundamental. Standing is a part of life.
This chair is very heavy on the front wheels. So what we're doing is creating a centre of gravity that's intelligent. So as the user leans forward, it will move forward with them. As they lean back, it will lean back with them. The centre of gravity of the human and the chair become one. Undoubtedly, the wheelchair is the most viable means of getting around if you're paralysed. But there's a perception from wheelchair users that using a power device when you don't really need it is surrender to the battery. It's important for me that the power assist system that we're developing is really discreet. When they come to a hill, it just kicks in and does it. And that hill got easier. The wheelchair doesn't have to be an inanimate, awkward device. It can actually engage with the person. And if their abilities are enhanced, their confidence is enhanced, and the person has a better lifestyle. That's transformational to the wheelchair user.
There you go.
Man, why is it not tracking well? Or like, why did this cable break? Having someone use it for a day and then it would break, a week and then it would break. Even though we knew it was coming because there were prototypes, like every single time it would break, it would be like, ah.
Motivation started to decrease, speed started to decrease. At a certain point, you're waiting so much for something to happen that you're starting to doubt that it will happen.
The most difficult part of all of this was the time frame we had to do it in. There's some money, there's some time, make it happen.
We had complete burnout where we had to go through and check logic boards and actually rebuild some of the electronics.
It's so frustrating, like what did we do wrong? Like we thought this was the one.
Can they fix this? Or is this just inherently a terrible idea?
We want to get as close to perfection as possible.
You're there to take the risk to make sure that what you're working with and what other people are going to be working with is safe. Just push the limitations as far as possible.
It's a roller coaster. It's doing this all the time. One day it works and looks so promising, and then something stops working and you just feel gutted. So to see it all come together today, it's a massive relief. There's a lot riding on this.
The goal for me personally is to save the 18-year-old kid that I was the mountain that I had to climb. I was in the hospital for 28 days. It was completely a contradiction to the way that I've grown up. Fast-paced, job sites, sports, motocross, anything that I used to do was gone. Now that I'm in a wheelchair, I'm just going to sit around and not do anything. All the things that really aggravated me at the beginning, I just let them bottle up, tuck them in a corner. My first thing that I needed to overcome was letting go of that anger and the sadness that came with that. I was getting on 2 years in the chair by the time HMC came along, looking for participants for the exoskeleton. The opportunity was granted, so I jumped on it.
My dad, he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis a little over 10 years ago now, and he started to develop a walking problem.
I was tripping and falling a lot. When you cannot move, your life is very limited.
I learned a lot about how the brain works, and I liked to build a lot of stuff and hack, so we all started with the first prototype to help my dad get a little bit of that walking back.
I started trying it. I feel safer when I walk with the device. This thing gave me some freedom again.
The Phoenix is the mythical bird of fire that can never be destroyed. No matter what happens to it, it just comes back. That's why I do this. Seeing those people get that independence, they wouldn't have got that had I, as a 14-year-old, not made that decision to climb that tree and fall out and break my back. That decision that I've questioned myself so many times, thinking, what were you thinking? Now I look at it and think, maybe you didn't mess up. Maybe good can come from this.
Nobody's really pitting against each other as much as we're all pitted against ourselves to make the device that we plan to.
If we win, we'll be able to push forward even more. It's going to give us a support network. It's going to give us this opportunity that we already have had by being one of these 5 finalists, but it's going to take us to the next level.
I believe in that face-to-face communication between human beings cannot be replaced by any kind of other issues. Our system is most closest to the human being. To meet the people, to talk to someone, same eye-to-eye communication.
The WIMI does look beautiful. Now it's something totally different. We are very proud to see and touch what we built.
I've always found that if you're looking at the ground, all you'll ever see is dirt. If I can get up every day and look up, then I'll have at least more to enjoy than looking down.
We gave me back something that I can prevent being taken away from somebody else.
I don't have to worry as much about him. He can do a lot of the things that he needed other people for.
He's doing something good for everybody.
We got the chair completed to a usable state a week before the close of the competition. It's no longer an awkward, inanimate box on wheels. I feel engaged with it on a way I've never felt with a chair before. Smart wheelchairs are here. The new era has begun.
Right, without further ado, I will pass over to Sir Philip to announce the winner of the Mobility Unlimited Challenge and the recipient of $1 million. Sir Phil.
Well, thank you very much, Sophie. This is incredibly exciting times after those wonderful films. And of course, now I know what the judging panel has had to consider. And so on behalf of Toyota and the Toyota Mobility Foundation, we're all proud to announce the winner of the Mobility Unlimited Challenge. And that is the Phoenix Instinct team of Forest, Scotland, for their Phoenix AI intelligent ultralight manual wheelchair, which features the smart center of gravity, as we've seen, and add-on power assist system for uphill assist and downhill braking. Congratulations.
Wow, it's just unbelievable. Thank you. I'm just absolutely overwhelmed. This competition has just been the most phenomenal thing that the Toyota Mobility Foundation could have done. I think that wheelchair users all over the world are going to get transformational technology from what we do from here, and it's huge. A big, huge, massive thank you from me and all of my team at Phoenix Instinct and all those wheelchair users that are going to get so much help.
Thank you. Fantastic. Such good news.
And the other teams, I should say the other teams that are part of this, that video showed for the first time, we've got to see what the other team's been doing. And that's some incredible tech going on there. I mean, my heart goes out to the guys that didn't win here today, because 4 of us weren't going to win. I really, really hope that they all get to market, because there's absolute viability in all of those ideas.
Andrew, thank you so much, and congratulations to all the finalists. Huge, huge congratulations. And just now a quick final word from Ryan.
Wow. Congratulations to Andrew and the entire team at Phoenix Instinct. What a fantastic design of incorporating a smart center of gravity and smart wheels into the chair, among so many other features. Having been privy to the judges' discussion and selection, I must say it was a very difficult decision, as each of these devices is full of transformative technology, and each team embodies an undeniable passion and dedication to improving the lives of others. These innovations will certainly have an impact on end users. and help shape what the future of mobility will be, whether it be helping to prevent long-term injuries or the exciting potential for these devices to grow and adapt to the dynamic needs of users like children and athletes. As we continue this journey, we look forward to continuing our support to all of those involved and the pursuit of freedom that true mobility can provide for all. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for being here and for watching with us today. We are so excited for this team. So if you're a member of the press and would like an opportunity to connect directly with the winner and with the finalists to ask any questions that you might have, then we invite you to the virtual press conference, the details of which are on the event agenda. So that is it. We have our winner. Congratulations again to all of our finalists and to Phoenix Instinct. To Andrew, congratulations. Thank you all. And here is to the future of mobility.